Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we are going to be going over a new Zane build brought by the new Zane clone buffs. The clone is very powerful now, and he is worth investing into, and it is probably the thing that a lot of people are going to want to be doing on Zane now. So with that being said, let's go over kind of everything you want to know about the clone in optimizing his damage, his potential, his survivability, and all of that. And then we're gonna break down the build I made with it, and also I found a really awesome gun to play with that I'm gonna be recommending to you guys. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get into it. Now first, the first thing I wanna talk about is the clone's damage formula, pretty much. And these are all, the clone doesn't get many bonuses at all, and I tested a dozen things last night, and these were the only things that I could find to buff the clone. So basically how it works is Donnybrook is added to Boom Enhance and is added to the bonus from Double Barrel when you swap with the clone. Those are all added together, so those are his additive damage bonuses. And then this can be multiplied by Zane's Barrier. It can be, he actually gets the bonus from the Old God Shield, and he will also get the damage bonus from the new action skill damage class mod roll. Now, I want to talk about what he does not get. Oh, one other thing he does get is debuffs. So he will get like the Piss Grenade, I believe the Eruption, the Needle Gun, although I only did test the Piss Grenade, but he should get the other debuffs in the game. So yeah. Now, a couple things I want to talk about that he doesn't get is he does not get amp shields. He will bring the amp shield down a little bit. Like when he shoots the first bullet out of an amp shot, but he does not get the amp shield bonus, which is kind of weird, but you know, it's whatever. The clone does enough damage that I'm not worried about it. The second thing he does not get is 25% on grenade throw. So the Digiclone does not get that bonus. You can run whatever anointment on your grenade that you want. If you want to run like 150% grenade damage or elements on action skill, by all means, 25% on grenade throw is still a very good anointment anyway. So, you know, I recommend it anyway because your action skills will stay up. The clone will stay alive. Now, with all that being said and letting you guys know how the clone's damage works, let's pretty much just get into the build now. So, like I said, the clone is now worth investing into. We've gone all the way down into Red Tree, and let me tell you guys about some of my skill choices. Now, I ignored Premunitus. Normally, I would suggest you guys take this over Synchronicity, but I ignored it for a key interaction with a gun that I'm going to be showing you guys in a second. And we also ignored Fractal Frags. Now, we are wearing the See Undead class mod, and I do want to say the clone is very powerful, and I think you can get away without wearing a See Undead class mod for those of you who don't have DLC 1. But if you are wearing the See Undead class mod, you want to avoid Fractal Frags. Fractal Frags is a kill skill, and See Undead will trigger this over and over. So the clone just won't shoot his guns, like literally, he throws so many grenades, so avoid this skill. And then the next thing is we only have 1 point into Pocket Full of Grenades. And this is because, once again, the See Undead class mod is so powerful. If you aren't playing See Undead, you will want to get an extra point, or maybe all 3 points into this, and I would take those out of Synchronicity. The last thing I want to mention is just avoid these last 2 skills. Like a Ghost is just bad, and Trick of the Light, you just accidentally cryo yourself a bunch of times, and yeah. So with that being said, these are the 26 skill points we want to spend in the Red Tree in almost every clone build. The only meaningful decision, in my opinion, is whether you take Premunitus over Synchronicity or not. And for the gun I'm going to show you guys to use, I don't want Premunitus because we actually want clone to have a smaller magazine size. Now, in the Green Tree, you guys actually can get Good Misfortune, and then you can get down to All-Rounder. However, personally, this would make the clone do more damage using the barrier, but the clone is very strong, so I wanted to give Zane the most buffs as I could, so I spent the rest of my points into Blue Tree. We actually have 5 full points into Violent Violence. We have 4 points into Playing Dirty, 5 points into Reload Speed. You only need 1 point in Salvation because, number 1, the clone bullets heal you, and number 2, at Mayhem 10, guns are so powerful that usually 1 bullet heals you fully. 1 point into Drone Delivery. I even stuck a couple points into Cold Bore. Usually this is not a skill worth investing into, just because the payoff isn't high, but the weapon swap speed is very nice, and it's welcome in my opinion. And yeah, those are pretty much the skill trees. Let's talk about the augments real quick. The drone can do some decent damage now on Mayhem 10. However, if you're going to the Guardian takedown, it's not gonna be that meaningful. You guys can try out Boomsday. This thing can do, what was it, 600k damage per rocket now, which is pretty cool. And with action skill damage on, you can get it a little bit higher. But I really just recommend running Bad Dose and Static Field still. Bad Dose will get a rad dot out there, which you can use to rad splode enemies, which is pretty cool. And yeah, now let's pretty much go over the gear. The first thing I want to talk about is the See Undead class mod. You know, this is Zane's best class mod, and I want to talk about this new action skill damage roll. So let's bring up the clone damage formula again. If you notice, Donnybrook, Boom Enhance, and Double Barrel are all additive, and this action skill damage bonus is multiplicative. So now, with that being said, the clone does not get as many diminishing returns on gun damage as Zane does, so it still is very good to get Donnybrook. But if you want your clone to do the most damage possible, this action skill damage roll is more important than Donnybrook. So just so you guys know, if your class mod has 0 in Donnybrook and action skill damage, that is worth more than 5 in Donnybrook and no action skill damage. So prioritize this action skill damage roll, especially if you can find a couple bonuses for Zane, like, you know, weapon crit or SMG damage. That's what you're gonna wanna be looking for. Now, besides that, when it comes to shields, like I said, the only damaging shield clone gets is the Old God shield. So if you want clone to do the most damage, put on an Old God shield. However, he is very powerful, and I kind of recommend going for survivability. The Transformer paired with some shock weapons, and the weapon I'm going to be talking about in a second that I've been holding out on you guys for so long. I really recommend using a Transformer or even a red suit so that he doesn't kill himself with that weapon, because he can kill himself with it. We're going to talk about that in a second. Otherwise, I recommend checking out something like the Snowshoe or the Frozen Heart. This just creates a big Cryonova, and clone gets your shield, so it's pretty cool to freeze enemies sometimes. Or something like a Big Boom Blaster, where clone will drop boosters for you. Just so you guys know, clone received an HP buff, and I thought it wasn't a huge one, but I realized that he was actually just killing himself with his own splash weapons a lot. The clone HP is pretty good, so you don't necessarily need the most survivable shield on him. And then finally, remember, he does not get amp, so just do not use amp shields with him. I tested this. And yeah, so that is it for the shields. When it comes to the grenade, you can really use whatever you want. We're going to be tossing grenades with our duct tape mod and with our drone. So I just tossed on an It's Piss grenade. You can wear a recurring hex. You can really wear whatever grenade you want. When it comes to the artifact, once again, the clone does not get any bonuses at all from any artifacts. I tested elemental damage on the artifact. I tried the Pearl. I tried the Icebreaker even. He doesn't get any bonuses from artifacts. From what I can tell, if you guys test something and find something that I'm not mentioning in this video, please comment down below. I'll make another video in the future and give you guys updates, but I tested a bunch of stuff. And then the one last thing I want to mention again is clone does not get this on grenade throw anointment. This anointment actually gives you 25% V2, and the clone doesn't get any V2 bonuses at all. Finally, let's talk about the guns. The gun I am mainly using for mobbing is the Beacon. Now, let me go ahead and play a clip for you guys. The Beacon is very awesome with the clone. If you guys don't know, this is a brand new weapon from DLC 3. What this weapon does is when it reloads, it creates a huge nova of whatever element the gun is. And the clone, if you, like I said, don't take Praemunitus, so he's reloading more. The clone will create these huge novas over and over again, and they actually do very good damage. On top of that, it's actually really useful for taking out buddy systems. Clone will not aim at buddy system. He'll just shoot the immune enemy, you know, because he's not that smart. But, I'm just kidding. But that Nova from the Beacon will. Now, one thing I want to say about the Beacon is the Beacon is actually a splash weapon. So the bullets from the Beacon itself shoot splash damage, and if enemies get too close, the clone will kill himself. So I recommend pairing this with the Transformer. Like find a shock beacon and pair this with a Transformer, or find a radiation beacon and pair it with a red suit. Now, one other thing I have to talk about the clone is the clone, when you summon him with a weapon that has 2 modes, he will always be summoned with the primary mode. So for example, like a Monarch, Clone cannot use the bipod. With double element Maliwan weapons, you have to get the element you want on the first roll. So that's what you're going to be farming for with the Clone, is you're going to be looking for a beacon. And the anointment doesn't matter because Clone doesn't get anointments. But you're going to want to be looking for the element you want on the first, as the first mode, if that makes sense. Now, when it comes to farming beacons, I recommend farming up the ×2 version because it consumes ammo quicker, or just look for the 20 magazine size. This was the smallest mag I was able to find. So the ×2 version, which consumes more ammo, or the smallest magazine, this will allow the Clone to reload this weapon like crazy. Now, with that being said, let's just talk about some general weapons that are very, very good for the Digiclone. Now, the Clone was always very good with launchers. You can do big damage to bosses with the Backburner or the Plague Bearer, so definitely check these out. Also, the Ion Cannon. By the way, real quick, I do want to say the Clone is very good with many, many weapons, so just try stuff out, and you're going to have a lot of fun. The Clone has always historically been the best with launchers, but with this buff, he's very good with these other weapons. The Sandhawk is very strong. I actually don't recommend the Sandhawk for mobbing because the bullet projectile speed is very slow. Even though I do think this is the highest damage, non-rocket launcher that he can shoot. Although, you know, I haven't tested everything yet. The light show is phenomenal with the Digiclone. You guys might have seen some clips from, you know, my Twitch or my YouTube video I posted yesterday using the light show. He's pretty good with the Hell Shock, although the beacon is just a higher damage Hell Shock, so just look for the beacon. He's decent with the Herald. Do not use a redistributor with him. He's pretty good with the Chaos In. Oh, the Flipper. He's very, very strong with the Flipper, actually. And he actually uses the effect of it pretty well. Now, the OPQ system. Actually, I do have to say, even though this is a level 57 OPQ, if you have any OPQ, the anointment doesn't matter because Clone doesn't use it. He actually might be the strongest with this weapon. If you check my video yesterday, or maybe I'll link a clip in the pinned comment down below, the Clone can literally like 1 and 2 tap Captain Trant sometimes with this weapon. The OPQ system is super powerful. Check the pinned comment down below. I'll put it under my Discord and Twitter links and whatnot. The Reflux, the Clone is actually pretty damn decent with the Reflux. However, this is corrosive locked. Maybe try out the Brainstormer even. When it comes to the Recursion, people ask me if he's good with the Recursion. The thing about the Recursion is it's good when you can apply bonus elements, but the Clone doesn't get any bonus elements. He doesn't even get Trick of the Light, so don't use the Recursion with the Digiclone. The Root, he's very, very awesome with the Root. He gets all the patterns, and he can do some cool things with it. Don't try... Now, one thing I want to point out is do not use weapons that require crits. So the Wedding Invitation on crit, this is a event gun, so some of you guys might not know about this. But on crit, this creates an explosion, and that's where most of the damage of the Wedding Invitation comes from. Also, a weapon like the King's Call, a weapon like the Unforgiven, all of these weapons require crits. Now, the Clone can crit, and when he does crit with these weapons, he does good things. However, it's RNG based. The Clone, I don't know if the AI is made so it doesn't always crit, because maybe that would be too broken or whatever. But it's just RNG. I would not use weapons that rely on crits. And besides that, that's pretty much everything I have in my inventory that I tested and I used. I did find that the Clone is very, very good with just a lot of weapons in general now. So go try stuff out. And keep in mind, I am playing a clip now of the Necrotafeo mobs with the beacon. You can use this in all elements, but if these mobs get too close, the Clone will kill himself. Like, seriously, he will. Because the beacon actually shoots splash damage. And yeah, guys, so that is pretty much it for the video. If you guys have any more questions or comments you want to talk about with the Digiclone, he's really awesome and really fun to use now. I am so glad they buffed him because he has been neglected since launch, in my opinion. And that is pretty much it for this video. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 3 videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.